Come on. Come on. One foot in front of the other. Come on. Here we go. An Ironman is simple to describe. It's a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile bike, and a full marathon. Back to back. No breaks, but the finish. That takes something far beyond fitness. So growing up, I've always had a passion for fitness. Playing high school sports like most people maybe find when they grow up, or even as a kid playing baseball with my dad and my mom, just always enjoyed moving my body. The progression through all this led to an amazing journey of competing in, marathons, 100-mile race, and even now, this Ironman. We all have this voice in our head and this calling to suffer and to push past our limits. Because at the end of your life, you're gonna have two situations. You're gonna be sitting with content, knowing that you tried and you overcame and you conquered. It may have been very hard, but at least you gave it everything you have. You faced your fears. And then there's the other side of you that is old and looking back at your life and is filled with a little bit of anxiety because you didn't listen to your calling and face your doubts and to face your fears. Life is all about facing your adversity and overcoming that. And I truly don't want to be that person is at the end of their life and regrets that they haven't pushed themselves to see what they are capable of, not only of just being the best physical version of yourself, but mentally. For me, I signed up for this Ironman because I dread swimming. It is super uncomfortable and it's a fear of mine, and I wanted to tackle that. I know that a 112-mile bike is something I've never done before, and a marathon is something I've done before, but it wasn't after those two endeavors. So by combining the three, it was the perfect storm for me to sign up and to conquer everything that I kind of ran away from in the past, because it was uncomfortable and it was hard.
I kind of knew Nathan was going to do an Ironman eventually because he had already done the half, so it was kind of just a matter of when it was going to happen. When he told me, I think the first thought that went through my head was just scared of the swim and stuff. But I was overall excited for him. Like, this is what he loves to do, so I was just excited to watch the journey, honestly.
And I struggled a lot with doubt and anxiety because my first Ironman 70.3, that was one race where I started to get anxiety, which I never experienced before in the water. Something about thrashing in the water around people, not knowing how deep or how murky the water is going to be, just sparked a fear in me. And even when I would swim in the pool, I would get nervous and I would get scared, and that had never happened to me. And it was a barrier that I had to conquer every single time I got into the pool.
I watched Nathan go through lots of different events, the 100-miler, marathons, high rocks, the half Ironman. So the training is just a huge part of it. I know it's very time consuming, which I feel like that was very understandable. Any time I could find to spend with him is what I did, whether that was walking on the treadmill when he was biking, or just trying to be out here when he was doing his runs, or just literally trying to be around him even when he was training, because honestly, when he wasn't training, there was no energy to spare. So it was just about making time for it and knowing that it was temporary, honestly.
And I knew the sacrifice going into it, your relationship and your family, but that's where I really started to build that foundation of, even though I may not feel perfect, I still need to show up and be there and be present for all the people around me that are supporting me. And that was by far one of the biggest lessons I've learned throughout this prep, is to be there for others. Even though sometimes I just didn't feel the best, I had and wanted to show up to be my best for them. So when we first arrived in Tempe, Arizona, the Ironman event itself is so cool. And honestly, any endurance event's so cool to just see all these people that you know have sacrificed just as much as you, just showing up to run their own race and just to be the best version of themselves. So I could feel that energy when I got to the expo. It really started to set in, honestly, to see where I was gonna swim and to see where I was gonna bike and to run. But honestly, it was full of excitement because it finally felt like everything was paying off. Full circle moment just to see everything kind of come together.
Probably scariest part of this Ironman, no doubt, the swim.
It's definitely a little murky, but
that's the swim. I wanted to see this and just take it all in and just be ready for it.
So looking at the finish line, I really just thought about all the things that have led me to this point. The whole journey and the process of getting to the finish line, it felt like I already crossed it. But I think we sometimes get caught up in the end destination when we don't realize what the process is and what it's creating us to be. I was just thinking about how sometimes I get caught up in trying to get somewhere or trying to achieve a certain thing. Reality and the success to me is just becoming better every day and doing the workouts when I didn't want to and just stacking days and days on top of each other to just become the person that I would like to be.
Brother, you're wearing your suit backwards. See, this is why you don't go naked. This is why you don't go naked. God, you get that? I'm trying to hype him up, being like, hey, don't worry, like, be confident, Iron. Bro, you're wearing them backwards. Confident, Iron. Everyone thinks we know what we're doing. That's how little each of us know.
Leading up to the race, I had gotten sick 2 weeks prior to the event. I didn't feel 100%, especially after flying and then also just getting everything sorted. I did kind of feel a little off. Now, I didn't think too much about it. There was a little bit of what happens if by the time I start the race, I don't feel great. All the sacrifice I had made, what if this doesn't go to plan? I just tried to block that out and just really focus on what do I have to prep today? What do I have to get my mind right today? And again, just compartmentalize everything and not think about the whole picture.
What do you want that? Only 80 pounds, all this for 80.
Yeah, well, you had 0. You're tired.
Yeah. Hey, what are you doing? Turn that off.
We're gonna practice today. Last day, 1 day out. Here we go.
There's never gonna be a perfect time, I feel, that I've realized. In my case, I never feel ready for anything, even 1 day out from Ironman. I know I put in so many hours of training and have been consistent and gave it everything I had. I just didn't feel ready, and I realized that in life, you're not gonna always feel ready for something. Balance the 3 modalities with life, with family. It's a lot. It's a lot for anybody that has gone through their experience, and that creates just a lot of fear within yourself to question. So I knew that the only way for me to learn how to balance these things and to also discover my true potential was to actually go through it, not just think about it. So that's when I signed up for the race. So Before the race, I like to just think about how much work and time I actually put into this. That is truly the only anchor point that I have confidence with when it comes time to race. Again, there's always gonna be some sort of doubt. I try to put my mind in peace knowing that I did everything that it took to get here, that I was capable of. And that gives me a lot more quietness in my mind to just show up on race day and just to have fun and just go out there and display everything that I worked for. Toes on the deck board, ready to jump into the water. First initial thought was, my boys are right in front of me, Joey and Luke. My guys are around me, I got all these other people doing it with me, let's start this. I didn't practice swim in anything but clear pool water. So when I jump in, everything is murky. Heart rate starts picking up a little bit. Mine's kind of scattered, it's cold, and I actually kind of start to panic. Kind of similar to what I talked about before, the panic is real. Try to breathe as often as possible to calm the panic and the anxiety. So when I tried to breathe, because it's so chaotic, everybody's jumping at the same time, you're in this like tight group of swimmers, you start intaking water from either people splashing you, the wake of other people swimming, and I was just intaking all this water, actually way more than I ever did. So I wasn't breathing properly. All this kind of created just a mess. So what I did was I just kept swimming and I was actually really just running out of breath. And I just decided to just slow down as much as possible and just calm my mind down. Breathing more often and more deeply allowed me to get in their rhythm and feel comfortable navigating the swim from that point on. So once I got on the bike, just started turning the cadence over and everything really felt strong. I felt good throughout most of the entire bike ride. I was just clipping miles after miles. I wasn't thinking too much about the total distance. I was watching my power, trying to stay around 200 watts, roughly 20 to 21 miles per hour. Going out was a slight elevation gain. Just started to wear on you, quite honestly. After the second and third lap, I started to get a little fatigued, just in my back and my quads. Now, one thing I didn't expect and I had no issues with in training was an upset stomach. Mile 40, we're good, we're cooking. Mile 60, still cooking, everything's looking good. Around mile 100 to 105, my stomach started to turn on me. I started getting a little bloated. You know, I had a little bit of worry with that, but I was like, maybe once I get off the bike and out of this hunched over arrow position, I'll feel great when I run. Coming off the bike, I started to not feel good at all, and I've never experienced such bloating in my stomach. So this is where the race really started to get hard. And I kind of projected this, but not to this extent. I got off the bike after finishing 112 miles. When I stood up, I just felt a lot of tightness in my back and my quads were actually really tight. And it was just a weird feeling because I hadn't felt that before in all my training sessions. So when I started the run, just focusing on the first mile, it honestly felt like the longest mile of the entire race. I did not feel good. I was actually trying to get stomach contents out of me. I even tried doing that after the first mile. I started settling in a bit, but still not feeling good within my stomach. But at that point, I just accepted kind of how the race was gonna be and how I was gonna feel. The biggest thing that I wanted to focus on was just putting one foot in front of the other. And that's what I've always kind of focused on, is just momentum and just compartmentalizing the things that I could control and just focusing on that. So I was making sure I was getting water and electrolytes and just staying hydrated throughout the race. Approaching mile 9, I started to feel better. I got to see my family, the crowd, and I kind of just started to like block out feelings of inside and just be very appreciative of everybody that had been able to support me throughout this and everybody that was selfless to show up. And I realized like in that moment that I wouldn't want it any other way. Obviously, things could be ideal, things could be better in every situation in life that you have.
I had some pretty bad stomach problems, but they're a little better now. I like dry heaves so many times. We're 13 miles in.
I was just trying to focus on being grateful that I can move my body, I can suffer through this, I can cross that finish line and become an Ironman, and not to get too caught up in a time or to get too caught up in myself, and more about like everybody that helped me to get here, and seeing all those people having that support meant the world to me.
After tracking him for over 10 hours, it honestly felt unreal to know that he was coming. Like the last few miles, I honestly couldn't believe that it was all coming to an end so quickly. And I feel like just as Nathan was feeling all those emotions, I was feeling those too of, wow, we just spent weeks and months of training and training and training, and here he comes in a mile and it's all gonna be over. So
when I started to get it close to the finish line, about a mile out, I just honestly felt this odd feeling of this is over. Like all the weeks leading up to this, the months of training alone in my garage, like this is gonna be over in about 5 minutes. The sun was coming down, we're in Arizona, it was beautiful sunset. I was just taking it all in, probably one of the, if not the hardest marathons that I've done. But again, I was just trying to focus on being present and being thankful. And that drove me a lot throughout the whole marathon. It was one of those moments when you do something, you check it off the box, and instantly your mind wants to go to, well, what's next? What else can I do? What else can I push myself to? And although I did think about that and I do have ambitions after this, I was trying to be as happy and present with the accomplishment that I just had. I think we can always get caught up in doing more and more, so I just tried to really appreciate, look back on it, and just be proud of all the work going the way it did.
just as Nathan was feeling all those emotions, I was feeling those too, of a relief, like you did it. And overall, I was just so happy to see him cross that finish line, and I felt like a very proud fiance to be there and witness it in that moment.
Excited that I got it done, and just blessed to be able to hopefully inspire you guys to do the same. So this could be any finish line. It doesn't have to be an Ironman. It could be as simple as whatever goal you truly have. All this comes down to is learning who you are when no one is watching.